Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from NPR that was published on January 10th. It's written by Bill Chappell, and it goes to show that the left right now, they're losing their climate change narrative with the Australian brushfires, with things that are coming out, like the fact that people have been arrested for, starting wildfires. And yeah, it isn't going over well because people are like, wait a minute. You want to blame this on climate change? And it's actually, besides the fact of people starting fires, it's failed leftist policies in Australia that led to this, okay? Things like they're not going through and doing controlled burns to get rid of the really flammable material like the dead brush and stuff like that, okay? Number one. Number two, they're not allowing people to do things like fire breaks, okay? It wasn't this fire, or I believe it was a recent fire like last year or something, but a fireman went to prison, okay, for building a fire break. His house was the only house that survived in the area because he did a fire break. Okay, they won't allow fire breaks. They won't allow controlled burns. They won't allow anything that is designed to actually, help with these forest fires and brush fires. Okay, and then they go, global warming, climate change. It's like, are you kidding me? And now that people are bringing that up, there's a lot of pissed off people in Australia that are talking about these things. All right, there are a lot of people online that are bringing this to the attention of people outside of Australia, because a lot of people in Australia know that those are causes of it. All right. And they're trying to use Australia as this global poster child for, climate change. Oh, the fires, it's all climate change's fault. 12 years. And that narrative is failing. So you got Bill here and NPR trying to run propaganda bullshit here. And it's actually pretty funny what they're trying to pull with this. Australia's wildfires spark disinformation battle as they take a tragic toll. And what's funny is they try to say that the people who are calling out the fact that there's some arson going on here are Russian bots. I shit you not on this. Bill Chappell here, couldn't think of his last name for a second, but Bill Chappell here is trying to say, Russian bots. They're seriously trying to push that narrative. It's Russian bots. Well, they're not saying that they're definitively Russian bots, but it's bots. Australia is struggling to cope with deadly infernos and faces losing nearly 1 billion animals in the terrible bushfires. But in the midst of those tragedies, authorities are also battling hoaxes and misinformation, including false reports of widespread arson. Many of the claims seek to suggest that arson, not climate change, was a key driver of the historic fires. Well, I hate to break it to you, but climate change was not a key driver of the historical fires. Arson, you literally have people that were arrested for setting bushfires, okay, with what's going on right now. They were a contributing factor. What else was a contributing factor were failed leftist policies. Like I've already gone through, the fact of, not doing controlled burns, the fact of not allowing to make fire breaks, the fact of not having anything like that being allowed, okay, to prevent even more widespread damage. You basically have, average Australians and their firefighters having to sit with their thumbs up their ass because they can't do what's necessary, to prevent the spread. Because if they do it, they're breaking the law, because these leftist eco dumb shits, in Australian Parliament thought that this would be a good idea, stopping things like controlled burns. Because, hey, if we don't control burn stuff, then we're going to actually have like the forest be all more natural and blah, 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 and it'll be better for climate change because, oh my God, the CO2 released. But the stupid friggin' idiots don't realize that you're going to have a bigger fire that's going to release more CO2, more carbon monoxide, more, ash into the atmosphere and soot. But hey, the big brain fucking idea. Hey, we can't blame that. No, we got to blame climate change. Give me a break. Seriously. It was arson and their failed policies. Okay, maybe some natural disaster like a lightning strike or something like that contributed, but their failed policies on the left are what caused this fire to be as bad as it was, And it was Baring, which I suggest you go and subscribe to him. He put out a video recently, and it was an Australian guy, calling out this shit. And they don't want that seen. Because their policies are perfect. It's climate change, people. The hashtag arson emergency began trending shortly after the new year. Queensland University of Technology researcher Timothy Graham says he identified troll and bot social media accounts that tried to shift the narrative about the fires as being the work of dozens of criminals. Because, oh my God, 24 fucking people get arrested for arson. 24 people. I believe it was 24 people get physically arrested for fucking arson. That's 2 dozen. Okay, they literally got arrested for arson, and people talking about that. Oh, that's got to be bots. Oh, that's got to be bots. They're not pushing the climate change fucking bullshit. Oh, our algorithm proved that they're bots. Why? Because they didn't go with the friggin' narrative, which is exactly what happened here. Because Timothy Graham, with his bullshit friggin' algorithm crap that he used, his bullshit heavily weighted towards leftist fucking crap ideology. Of course they're going to go, oh, but those are bots because, they're saying shit that's different than what we believe and what we want people to be talking about. Give me a break. We studied about 300 Twitter accounts driving the arson emergency hashtag to identify inauthentic behavior. Graham said Friday in an essay for The Conservation, which he co-wrote with fellow researcher Tobias Keller. This is funny. So they look at 300 accounts and go, they got to be bots because of inauthentic behavior. Why? Because they weren't pushing the same bullshit that you want pushed about, it's climate change causing the fires. Give me a break. That's exactly what happened here. This is the same type of bullshit with Trump that they tried to claim. Okay? Which, look, sure enough, they bring up that shit with the 2016 election. We found many accounts using arson emergency were behaving suspiciously, which I love is in quotes, compared to those using Australia Fire and Bushfire Australia, they said. Accounts peddling arson emergency carried out activities similar to what we witnessed in the past disinformation campaigns, such as the coordinated behavior of Russian trolls during the 2016 presidential election, which is what's funny is almost everyone they labeled as a Russian troll was a valid fucking Twitter user, okay? Was a legitimate person. The majority of them were. The overwhelming majority of them were. This is the same exact type of situation. How much do you want to bet that out of those 300 accounts, almost all of them were legit? 300 accounts. Oh no, they're gonna shape everything. 300 accounts ain't shit. This is how desperate they are. Okay, if it was a troll farm or something like that, there'd be thousands of fucking accounts, if not tens of thousands, if not more. You literally have 300. And they're going, they're all bots because they don't agree with our bullshit. Oh, my God. Then you got his tweet here. I love this. Bushfire, bots, and arson claims. Australia flung on the global disinformation spotlight. Tobias Keller and I just published a new article on disinformation during the Bushfire Crisis Australia. The hashtag Bushfire Crisis Australia. Conversation.com Bush. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're so desperate to push this shit because climate change agenda, instead of going with the left's policies are what caused this, because controlled burns would have limited this fire, the damage of this fire, okay? Fire breaks would have limited the damage of this fire. Heaven friggin' forbid. Okay, just finished the first map of tweets on the same theme in Gephi as not comprehensive due to the search API constraints. Enough capture to give a sense of shape of the discourse. Oh my God. They literally overlaid. You remember the YouTuber influencer network bullshit where they had the idea of always sunny, red string to 65 million fucking things? They literally did the same thing here. Okay, look, Donald Trump Jr., Prison Planet. Oh my God. How did Hillary Clinton get in that? Oh, this is so funny. The shape of the discourse. Oh yeah, Donald Trump Jr.'s got more influence than Hillary Clinton on Twitter. Prison Planet's got more influence. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta fucking love it, because that's what those sizes, I'm sure, are. Oh. As for who mounted the social media campaign to push the arson narrative, Graham and Keller say that while software tools allow for them to identify bots and trolls, they weren't able to trace the bogus accounts to any specific people or entities. Aha! What's funny is here, up above they were saying it was all bots. Now they're saying it was bots and trolls. Which is it? You can't be saying that it was a bot thing, and then say, oh, well, it was bots and trolls later on. It don't work like that. So obviously, anyone who wasn't pushing the narrative, they just early, because they don't think people are going to read past this point, I'm guessing. Yeah. They then change their fucking tune. You gotta love that. And the fact that they can't link it to any specific people or entities destroys their bot bullshit narrative. Because if it was bots, it would be a bot farm. They would be able to track it back to the bot farm. They can't do that because there is no bot farm. This is like back with the 2016. They claimed all these people were bots, and you actually had people coming out going, I'm a legit person, and proving that they were legit if they were specifically named. This is no friggin' different. And I love this one. While arson has historically been one of the causes of Australian bushfires, the country is facing an unprecedented bushfire disaster, which, of course, they're trying to push us all by climate change. Since September, fires have now consumed an area larger than the states of Massachusetts and New Hampshire combined. And a new megafire was created Friday when two blazes joined, covering nearly 1.5 million acres, as NPR's Scott Newman reports. Well, the thing is if they had done fire breaks and controlled burns and all those types of things, that wouldn't be the problem there is right now. And if there weren't like 24 people who were caught setting fires, yeah. The arson emergency campaign seems to have peaked around Tuesday when thousands of tweets used the hashtag Graham and Keller said. Oh, well, so 300 people caused thousands. Around the same time the bot campaign hit its crescendo. Oh, so this is what's funny. It was a bot campaign, but yet there were thousands of people, but it was only 300 that were bots. They can't make up their freaking mind here. What is it? Was it thousands? Was it 300? Was it bots? Was it bots and trolls? Was it... See, this is the type of propaganda bullshit. They can't even get their own fucking story straight in their propaganda. Jesus Christ. But anyway, around the same time the bot campaign hit its crescendo, news stories about the wildfires also toted a police report in hard-hit New South Wales, where authorities recently announced they had taken legal action against more than 180 people for fire-related offenses. I believe it was over 200, but okay. But only a small fraction of those people face charges that might be construed as arson, and the figure also spans a period that began in late 2019. Yes, but a lot of the people who are getting charged right now, which they're leaving out, that are getting charged for arson were caught setting fires, or there's overwhelming evidence that they set fires with these bushfires going on. The New South Wales police said that while 24 people were charged with deliberately lighting bushfires, 53 faced legal action, which include a warning for not complying with a statewide ban on fires. And the overall number also included 47 people who were accused of not properly disposing of lit cigarettes or matches. See, I love this one. They throw everyone else in with this, but you had 24 people who are being charged, okay, with deliberately lighting bushfires. Some of them with this current event. And they're like, oh, there's nothing to see here. Oh, no, it's all climate change. Don't listen to them about people setting fires. But you literally have 24 people who are charged with deliberately lighting bushfires. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay, this is what I mean. They can't keep their story straight. All right? They're literally pushing a bunch of bullshit, lies, and propaganda that, oh, climate change caused the fires. All right? But then they're admitting that there's 24 people that have been charged with deliberately lighting said fires. You can't do that and expect people to take any bit of credibility from you. I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. Conservatives in the U.S. also picked up on the arson thread with President Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., retweeting a post about the arrests in New South Wales. Oh, because Donald Trump did it. Oh, it gotta be fake news. These fucking idiots on the left. You gotta love NPR. Okay, NPR is supposed to be this impartial friggin' news outlet. It's state funded, all right? It takes money from the federal fucking government. It takes money on the note of the local stations from state governments, all right? And yet they're this leftist propaganda outlet. It's so vile and so disgusting that they take taxpayer money and they're literally shills for the leftist bullshit. They're supposed to be impartial, okay? Because of that. Documenting a further convolution in the narrative. I love this convolution. There's no convolution here. Australia's ABC reports some of the misinformation includes the idea left-wing eco-terrorists are behind some of the fires. Well, there's actually some evidence that there could be because they're figuring they set the fires to push this climate change fucking narrative, which is exactly what you're pushing using the fires. Holy shit. There is some suspicion of that. On Friday, an employee of Rupert Murdoch's News Corp in Australia raised concerns about the company's coverage of wildfires, accusing the publisher of newspapers such as The Australian and the Herald Sun of carrying out an irresponsible misinformation campaign. I find it unconscionable to continue working for this company, knowing I am contributing to the spread of climate change denial and lies, Emily Townsend, a commercial finance manager at News Corp, wrote in an all-staff email. She added that the newspaper's angles of coverage were not only irresponsible, but dangerous and damaging to our communities and beautiful planet. So wait a minute. Reporting on the fact that there were people arrested, okay, and that, I'm sure they're also reporting on the fact of things like, they wouldn't allow controlled burns. They passed laws to stop that. They won't allow people to make fire breaks to stop, fires from progressing. And they're letting, and they have to allow their homes to burn down. And they have to allow the fires to go and continue. And the firefighters have their hands tied. Okay, that right there is denying climate change according to this dumb broad. Okay, according to Emily Townsend here. That is denying climate change. Actually reporting on the fucking fires and not using it as an opportunity to push climate change propaganda is literally unconscionable to her. Because it's climate change denial, reporting on the fucking facts as opposed to this bullshit that the fires, they just mysteriously started because of climate change. Emily, get bent, woman. Go fuck yourself, you dumb bitch. You virtue signaling bitch. You're so stupid. You think that shit's gonna fly, and what gets me is NPR thinks that shit's like, oh, look at her. Go, woman, go. No, she looks like an idiot. Townsend told the Sydney Morning Herald she doesn't regret that her email was leaked to the wider press, and a News Corp executive told the newspaper that Townsend was already in the process of leaving the company, having resigned in December. Yes, so exactly, she's virtue signaling. She took an opportunity to virtue signal. She's probably the one who leaked the goddamn email. Beyond arguments over the impacts of climate change, Australia's wildfires do have a real political aspect. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has frequently been criticized for his approach to the disaster, from his interactions with affected states and his recent vacation getaway to Hawaii, as the raging fires destroyed communities back home. On Friday, protesters vented their anger at Morrison and the government by holding a large demonstration in Sydney. Oh no, a bunch of soy boys and hairy militant wannabe dyke bitches who think that they're feminine and want guys to sleep with them when they look like a man, all right, got together in Sydney. What, a few hundred of them? Ooh. Experts say the intense and widespread effects of Australia's wildfires are related to a number of factors, from the destructive nature of wind-borne embers, which swirl high into the air and help fires spread rapidly and unpredictably, to build standards that allow houses to be constructed out of flammable materials, and planning regulations that don't enforce enough of a buffer zone around houses built in vulnerable areas. You know what actually works? Instead of saying, well, houses can't be built out of flammable material when houses are generally built out of flammable material, allow them to build fire breaks around their homes when fires threaten them. Maybe do controlled burns to prevent these uncontrolled brush fires. Instead of going, oh, we can't do these things because of climate change, and then go, well, that fire happened because of climate change. It wasn't our failed policies. Fucking idiots. Australia's fires are spreading more quickly and ferociously because of prolonged drought and hot weather, both of which are exacerbated by climate change and are providing copious dry fuel. Okay, this is complete horse shit. Number one. Australia has hot weather this time of year. This is normal for them, number one. Okay, prolonged drought? Yeah, so you have a drought going on, which you cannot necessarily blame for climate change, because you same idiots blamed the fact of the levels of the Great Lakes being so low on fucking climate change, ignoring things like Nestle and shit like that. And then when we had record rainfall, okay, and your predictions about the Great Lakes drying up and shit like that went to complete fucking hell. Okay, you turn around and went, oh, climate change. Oh, yeah, climate change is going to cause food issues. Okay, there's going to be so much rain up there, they're going to have problems growing crops. And then you had things like, record crops and cherries 2 years in a row. and other crops up there as well along the Great Lakes. You idiots. You talk out your ass. You try to take every little thing in the climate and go, oh, well, climate change. And then you go, oh, we're all doomed. Oh, the sky is falling. And then when the shit happens to show that you're full of shit, when things happen to show that you're full of shit, you turn around and then try to take that and go, oh, climate change. And now you're trying to do that with this, because right here you're trying to say, oh, well, it has to do with the fact of, well, there's copious dry fuel. Well, the idea that you take and you do a controlled burn is supposed to get rid of that material that helps to fuel these brush fires and forest fires and everything else. But you see, they don't want to talk about that. It's climate change instead of the fact of these failed leftist policies. According to the Australian Institute of Criminology, most of the brush fires that are started by arson burn only 5 hectares, a little over 12 acres of land. The government crime agency says most arson fires are started by young people in disadvantaged areas. This is complete bullshit here, okay? They're trying to literally say, well, it couldn't have been arson because on average, okay, it's Australian youth and there's only 12 acres of land burned when there is a fire. And the reason why in those cases is because usually when it happens, okay, there isn't like all this dry material, because in previous years, before the leftist morons pulled their shit in Australia, you had controlled burns and stuff like that. And you would also have firefighters being able to respond to the fire better because they didn't have their fucking hands tied, because they could go and turn and build berms, and they could go and make fire breaks and do different things like that. And they could do, oh God, what the fuck are they called? Is it cross burn? But yeah, I believe it's called cross burning, where they literally start a fire from the opposite direction after they build like a break, and they have it go towards the other fire and exhaust its fuel and help to put it out. They can't do any of these things. And these idiots are going, oh, climate change, climate change, climate change. No, you tied their fucking hands with your idiotic leftist fucking policies. And now this is what happens. You sow what you reap. And instead of trying to blame, these people, for being bad, climate change deniers, how about you admit the facts that your policies caused it? Oh, well then you wouldn't look good. So it's got to be climate change, because you can't not exploit a crisis, especially one that you helped to create there on the left there, people. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.